So, Hatman,
Yes.
I actually watched Peacemaker this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I ran into a problem. Is he?
Oh, what was the problem?
Well, it's starring John Cena, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I couldn't see him. I love bad jokes. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and I am not dad enough for that dad joke.
No, neither of us are, but I love it anyway. Welcome to Micah and the Hatman, live. Alright, before we get started, big thank you to 420 Getting and Brian Gilmartin for their resubs. Hatman, tell us about the young pope.
The young pope is weird.
Okay.
It kind of feels like more of an art project than like an actual limited series. I don't really know how to describe it. It's very strange. So just scrolling through HBO Max, looking for some new things to watch, and on a whim, I was like, I never heard of this before. It's got Jude Law in it. I like Jude Law, all right. I'll give this a shot. You know, why the hell not? And it was weird. I'm not sure if I liked it or not. Especially given you know, my feelings on the Catholic Church. But it was definitely a thing.
It is a thing that exists, yes.
Maybe more of a thought experiment than anything else. Like, what would happen if we got an American pope, a like 40-ish year old pope, and a pope who refused to let other people see his face in public.
Okay.
Like, it's a cornerstone of the series that he makes it to where his actual image is not meant to be on anything. They point out that, like, oh, the Catholic Church makes a whole lot of money on like pictures of the Pope for like dishes and shirts and all this commemorative stuff, and he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, okay, this is getting interesting. And from there on, like, it does kind of get interesting, because over the course of it, you find out, like, he's kind of disillusioned with the church itself. He teeters between, like, belief in it and full-on atheism.
Okay.
And yeah, like, it's really, really weird. Like, yeah, some art house shit in there, almost like a character study in a way. Because there are people who, like, really, really fucking hate this dude. Like, the conservative types really fucking hate this dude.
Mm-hmm.
And there are others that are like, oh no, he's a fucking saint. Like, he is a saint sent by God himself. And God, like, I don't know. Maybe it is more thought experiment than art house piece. But I think it also has its strength in the fact that it shows the inner machinations of, like, the highest ends of Catholic hierarchy more as like a government than an actual church.
Mm.
Like, straight up bringing back the papal states. Really, really interesting in that regard. Jude Law is great in this role, by the way. Like, he is absolutely fucking brilliant. But then again, it's Jude Law. Jude Law is really good in most of the stuff that he does. I don't know if I could recommend this one, like, unless maybe, like, you're really super bored and you're not sure if you want to think, but then you're like, you know, why the hell not? I don't know. I don't know if I regret watching this or if I'm trying to figure out ways to justify it or what. It was weird. It was really, really weird. And apparently there's a sequel series too, and I'm not sure if I want to engage in that.
So it's very artsy fartsy then.
It's like, who's the fucking dude who did Mulholland Drive?
I don't remember.
I
know who you're talking about. I just don't
David
remember.
Lynch.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like some David Lynch shit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising. I wouldn't think that like a story about a young pope who is kind of a goof, basically, would have a David Lynch feel to it.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like, he's not that much of a goof. Like, he's like really intelligent to the point where like you can't predict what he's going to fucking do next. Like, and that's why the whole thing about him not wanting anyone to see his face, like, it just takes people off guard completely.
Yeah.
And then like the end of the fucking episode is like him in confession, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't believe in God." And then you're like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And then like all this other shit, more fucking like unpredictable shit happens like the rest of the way through. Like, you think you've got him pegged down, and then, okay, nope, left turn here is not what you expected at all.
Huh.
Like how he you know, you think maybe he is an atheist after all, and then like he gets super pious and shit and starts like praying really hard, and then shit actually happens. You're like, what the? Hold on now. I was promised something that was not this.
Huh.
Like, that's why I say it's really weird, and I don't really know how to describe it.
Well, I mean, really weird is a descriptor.
Definitely different, I guess, but it kind of feels like a half-baked descriptor, if anything else.
Okay, so let me throw out a term that's might possibly drive people mad, but there is a caveat to whenever this term is thrown around. Is it something that subverts your expectations? And if it does so, is the subversion better than what you originally expected?
So yes and no.
Okay. Yes to the first question, no to the second.
It subverts your Well, no, it's a bit of both for all of them.
Okay.
So it subverts your expectations, at least, of like how a pope is supposed to act, how people within the Catholic Church at that are supposed to act, especially like the higher ups. And then you sort of realize, like, well, I mean, I guess it's natural that there's going to be corruption and stuff, and I guess, you know, if this guy is pope, it sort of makes sense. And then it starts happening again, and you're like, okay, I don't think this is really just subverting expectations so much as it is throwing some curveballs to really study this dude in detail. Like, not so much of him as Pope, but him as just an individual person. Like, they use his real name a lot. Lenny. They call him Lenny a lot in this, and that's really to humanize him more as a character instead of, you know, the Supreme Pontiff.
A pope named Lenny. Just
a pope named Lenny, and on top of that, the name he took was like Pius the 13th. So it's really,
that's good.
Like, you've got something ultra modern, and then you've got something like really classical, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, it does throw you for a loop, but I don't think it rests itself on the idea that we're going to subvert your expectations.
Okay.
It's trying to tell a story about this dude more than anything else.
You really have to, and that's the interesting thing about this is, or in really any piece of fiction, the whole thing about subverting expectations is that, generally speaking, it's a gamble. You're gambling on it. You're gambling on the idea that you've set an expectation for one thing, and then the thing that you're going to switch to, the twist, that's going to be actually better than what you originally expected. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But in this one, it doesn't sound like that. Like the expectation doesn't seem like, at least from the way you're describing it, it's not completely set by the story. It's more or less set by what you would expect from a story about a young pope, and then where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's set in the name itself.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Crystal Hydra says, "Hope the young pope avoids anyone named Ezio." The liberation of Roma has begun.
Well, yeah. And Brian Gilmartin in the chat says too, it sounds like it's trying to do too many things. In a way, yes. It does sometimes focus on too many threads at once, but generally they at least have the common denominator of this dude as Pope.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there is a common factor at the very least. Like it's not too out there. It's just, yeah, sometimes it does get a little hard to keep up. But I guess that's just how the showrunner was going for it. I don't know.
So, not sure if recommend.
Not sure if recommend. This is something that really it's really determined on your taste and whether or not you I guess can afford to spend the time with it. I think it's like 8 or 9 episodes, maybe 10. So it's not long. It really is a limited series. So if you want to give it a try, then sure, go ahead. Like, it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. I can't say for certainty that it was bad. Like, maybe I wasn't totally into it, sure, but I don't think it was bad.
Yeah, it's 10 episodes.
Okay. So yeah, it's not long at all.
420 Getting, thank you for the donation. He says, $10, this is towards the cringe and a Bioshock parody and a cursing robot. And then Angry Green Boss tipped $5 before that, did not leave a message. Alright, well there you go, guys. I guess if you're into art house shit, give it a shot. But you could end up being more weirded out than when you came in. My pick of the week is a Peacemaker. It's very nice. Looks nothing like me. Sorry. So, gun to my head. If you told me, Micah, you need to pick your favorite movie out of the DCEU, it would be The Suicide Squad, the second one. It's so fucking good. And we've already glown about it when it came out. Like, I'm actually really bummed that show or that movie didn't make the money that I honestly think it would have made a lot more money if theaters were open. Because sort of like the first Guardians of the Galaxy, it would make money by word of mouth. Because people went into Guardians because it's a Marvel movie, right? And then they came out, they're like, holy shit, this movie's great. And then you tell your friends, and then it continued to make money. I think that the Suicide Squad, or I should say James Gunn's Suicide Squad, would have probably had the same effect, honestly. And then what kind of surprised me was that they announced that John Cena was going to be getting a Peacemaker show. And the funny thing about this is that in the Suicide Squad, John Cena, the Peacemaker is like the character that he's funny, but he's clearly the most sadistic individual of the entire squad. This is a squad with Harley Quinn in it. You know? And you could just tell, like, even though, like, he has funny lines like I would eat all the dicks on the beach if it meant something for freedom or whatever, you know. Even though he had that, he does stuff in Suicide Squad that's kind of sadistic. And you're like, what the fuck? Really, dude? I won't spoil it because I want people to watch the movie. But it was basically one of those things where you're shocked that this is the character that's getting his own anything, really. And people in the chat are saying Suicide Squad and and Guardians were bad. How could you be more wrong? But both of those fucking movies are fun as hell. So no, you and your wrongness, just no. But anyway, so the whole thing with this is Peacemaker wakes up in the hospital in the post-credit scene of Suicide Squad and is somehow alive. And in this, it follows that up. The hospital tells him he's discharged. Real quick, Montanui is confirmed in the chat for having no sense of humor and needs to laugh at some point in his life. But, because one thing I should say is this show's funny as hell. And that's one thing that I appreciate about James Gunn is he has sort of a gallows black sense of humor. I mean, you see the guy on Twitter, you'll get that. Like, Mike Cernovich trying to cancel him was largely because James Gunn has a gallows black sense of humor. But I fucking love gallows black humor. I really do. I love dark humor. And in this particular instance, basically what happens is, you know, he thinks that he's out because his doctor just discharges him. You're healed, you're good, go. And what ends up happening is, no, Waller still has her hooks in him, but she has a special assignment for him. So he gets picked up by basically some characters from the Suicide Squad film that turned on her at the end of that movie, plus a couple other characters that we haven't noticed yet. And basically what they find is that there is an alien race that's on Earth that is a parasitic life form that is taking over the minds of people and basically using them as their own personal robots. And they have to stop these particular aliens. And, you know, as I usually say when it comes to this sort of thing, hijinks ensue. We get to see Peacemaker's best friend, who is the DCEU's version of Vigilante. Not the cowboy Vigilante, the one in the costume. And everything from there is just a lot of fun because you really get the sense that these characters in this are just making it up as they go along. They're legitimately trying to do the best with what they've got in front of them. And it's fucking hilarious because none of them have any clue what they're doing. The guy who's running the mission, whose name I forget because I'm bad with names, he's not used to running these kinds of ops, and he's got his own complications, which you find out later. You have Amanda Waller's daughter, who is the chubby black girl. She's on the team. She's never done ops work like this before. And then you have the blonde girl and the blonde guy back there. They're people who were on Waller's team in the Suicide Squad. They're basically stuck there because they did the right thing, you know, and enabled the Suicide Squad to stop Star the Conqueror in the Suicide Squad movie. So, it's one of those things where the none of these guys want to be where they're at, and the circumstances fucking suck, and the missions that they have to go on kind of require you to give up a chunk of your soul. And that's really where I think I don't think anybody but James Gunn could have pulled it off. Because if you're going to have a goof of a character, which John Cena is a goof of a human being, from what I've been told in real life. So like this role was made for him. Like, he's really good in it. The funny thing about it is just that the ability to pull off the gallows humor plus the whatchamacallit, plus the more serious elements of it. It takes a balance that is very hard to pull off. And yeah, I don't know anybody who can do it better than James Gunn at this point. Because it's got violence, plenty of it, which, if people didn't know, before Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn did a horror movie called Slither, which is amazing, by the way. So if you haven't seen it, see it. It's really good.
That movie's a trip.
Fuck yeah, it is. And it is violent as fuck.
Yes. They pull no punches in that fucking movie.
No. And this is a return to that sort of thing for James Gunn. One thing I should say, though, they do find they mentioned Peacemaker's father in the Suicide Squad, and then in this you finally meet his dad. His dad is played by the T-1000.
Robert
Patrick. And he plays a character known as the White Dragon, which, as you would expect from a villain called the White Dragon, he's basically a neo-Nazi. And the thing about it is that, and this is one thing that I was shocked by, because James Gunn is very much politically a lefty, is that I was expecting him to kind of brand the Midwest in general as those kind of people, and he doesn't. He basically just says, the bad guy's a neo-Nazi, he's an evil son of a bitch, and then he's got a gang of other neo-Nazis, and they're evil sons of bitches, but he's not making a commentary on the whole area, which I appreciate, honestly, because I really feel like in this modern day, there's some people, read idiots, that think that you can't, that if you have Nazis or neo-Nazis or white supremacists or whatever you want to call them, if you have them in your fiction, then you have to make a commentary on the entire flyover country area, and that's stupid. You don't have to do that. On the flip side, just because you have them in there doesn't mean that it's automatically a commentary on Middle America. And anybody who has lived in Middle America, i.e. me, can tell you that people aren't like that here. So you're going to just insult the people from that area, and they're not going to want to watch your shit. So James Gunn does it a lot better. The only thing that I think people are probably going to get or try to make it about that is because he makes there's a not Alex Jones in the show that shows up for 5 seconds, and that's it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I know some of you like Alex Jones for the memes, but he's had some pretty shady people on his show before, a couple of whom were white nationalists. He's had Vox Day on there. He's promoted Nick Fuentes. Like, I'm not saying Alex Jones is a white supremacist. I'm saying he's an idiot. So, yeah. So, like, I don't care if you make that reference, to be honest with you. When it comes right down to it, it's just done really well. The only downside that I have to it is the ending. Gunn kind of gets a little political. And he does a good job of actually giving himself an out, in a sense of, you know, he talks about Peacemaker has to make a tough call at the end of it. And he worries that he, you know, has destroyed the human race. And he basically chose the ability for humans to live in freedom. You know, we'll just put it that way. And he's kind of, you know, questioning the gravity of his decision, right? And Amanda Waller's daughter character says something about, you know, did you make the choice because of your proto-fascist libertarianism? And I'm like, that's not a thing. Fascism and libertarianism go in two completely different directions. No, it's not a thing. So
no.
And I know where that comes from, by the way. So I'm gonna by the way, in the chat, do not follow me down the political road. I'm just making this remark to say why James Gunn is making a mistake. There are, among left-leaning circles, there are people that have come up with this idea that there is a libertarian to alt-right pipeline. Because there are people who were libertarian YouTubers that ended up throwing support behind people that are far-right individuals. Like Lauren Southern throwing support behind Nick Fuentes for a time. Or, I think that guy T did something similar at one point, when he was still around. There's just one problem with that. That has nothing to do with libertarianism. It has everything to do with those people just making stupid decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's all that it is. And I'll be completely frank. As somebody who was in the political sphere for as long as I was, there's a lot of people that are right-leaning commentators that are fucking morons when it comes to anything cultural. They are fucking idiots. And they don't think about things. So, yeah. But regardless, Gunn does not understand that. And it kind of, that comes through, but it's literally one line in the entire show. You know? So, when it comes right down to it, do I recommend it? Yeah. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. It's very goofy at points. But when it knuckles down, it really does a great job of knuckling down properly. And really letting you get to know these characters. And on top of that, because for those who don't know, James Gunn does character development very well. And especially with Peacemaker, because the entire time he is wrestling with the shit he had to do in Suicide Squad. And it makes for a very, very good way of storytelling and a way to develop a character. So yeah. Needless to say, I recommend it. It was a lot of fun, and I'm hoping Gunn gets to do another Suicide Squad movie. Keep David Ayer away from that shit, just forever. Just, no, fuck that. He fucking sucked. Like, James Gunn knows what he's doing. Alright. On to this week's topics.
Okay.
James Gunn's Thunderbolts, I'd watch it. Especially if they let him do, like, M-rated shit like in this one. But I would almost rather Thunderbolts have a more serious tone. But that's me. Okay. So, the big drama of the week. Rushia, the HoloLive VTuber from Japan, was fired this week. So, this is a complicated scenario. And I'm going to give the facts first, and then I'm going to give my opinion. And then, of course, people are welcome to their own. So, we covered this last week. We talked about the idol culture shit that was going on. Well, over the course of the week, apparently, I felt bad for Rushia because that Mafu guy basically just threw her under the fucking bus. Which, that was cold. Yeah, I'm like, you spineless bitch. Like, holy shit. But throws her under the bus. And one thing that happens is, for what people are talking about, was it 2 weeks ago? Well, regardless. What happened next with this was she apparently in confidence talked to a content creator from Japan that the one thing everybody has basically said is the guy is sort of like the Japanese equivalent of Keemstar in the sense that he's a drama tuber. You know, he talks about drama that's going on in the world and makes money off of it, which there's a big market for that all over the world, so it doesn't really surprise me that there is that. In conversation with that individual, she apparently let some things slip that were supposed to be in confidence from one friend to the other. And he ran with it on a live stream and started talking about stuff that was going on behind the scenes at HoloLive, Rushia's situation, all this other stuff that's going on. All while she's in the way, not in a good place mentally because of the stress.
Mm-hmm.
And what ends up happening is Cover, which is the company that runs HoloLive, finds out about this and immediately fires her. Immediately. And it was sort of an interesting situation because you could kind of tell that there might have been a hammer being put down behind the scenes. Because the immediate reaction, if you go on social media, is like almost every HoloLive girl comments on it about how sad, how bummed they are, and about, you know, how sad they are. They don't want her to go, stuff like that. They're going to be crying tonight. I'm like, Jesus. And then the next thing you see is when it's brought up on live streams, a lot of the girls are saying, yeah, that happened. They won't mention her by name. And, or if they do it very briefly. And they very quickly move on. A little, and just being somebody who has, like, been around corporations for a long time, you can kind of tell the signs of when your boss said, you better not fucking talk about this too much or you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, praise be to Callie for her balls of steel. Basically saying, yeah, I'm going to talk about her whenever the fuck I want.
Mm-hmm.
And, the crazy thing about it is, there's layers to it. So, let's kind of go over those layers really quick. Hold on one second. So what ends up happening, well, actually, no, we've kind of gone over the happening. Well, no, except for the fact that she started her own YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
She has also said that, and then Kason, who, the former Kiryu Coco, went on to her channel and said, yeah, I'm going to help her out. Because they were friends beforehand. So, more than likely what's going to happen is Rushia is going to have a new persona, or go by her real name even, possibly. It's hard telling. And she's probably going to get, like, her YouTube channel, just off of a test stream, has over 200,000 subscribers now. And she's probably going to pick up right where she left off. And, I'll be honest about something. This is my my thing about this. So there's different layers. First off, this is something that I will say being somebody who's been a public figure for a while, even though that's obviously diminishing. We've only got 24 people watching right now, which this is the lowest viewership we've ever had from Micah and the Hatman. So I don't know what I did to piss so many people off that lately. I'm gonna have to figure it out and fix it apparently. But it's just another layer onto things, I guess. But the thing about being a public figure is that eventually drama will come up. It will happen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're involved in it, people are going to want to talk to you about it. And everything that you say is not because or people aren't actually asking you the question because they give a shit about you as a human being. They're asking you, they're waiting to see what your answer is, so that you can basically dig your own grave. Something that they can use to get clicks to make a story out of. You know, that is it. There's no actual curiosity there. They don't really care, you know, etc., etc. And the rough part about it is you find yourself in a situation where, like, you can say things that you say in confidence, and then the person who is looking for drama is going to take what you said, and they're going to put it live whether or not you said it in confidence or not. It does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I still get put questions on occasion from people that are in the drama sphere of Comicsgate. And they say, hey, will you come onto this stream and whatever and talk about it? And the answer is always no. Because I don't want to talk about it. Because I'm not interested. Because people, again, it's not comfortable having everything that you say combed through to look for drama shit. You know? So it's not a fun situation to be in. So she shouldn't have said that stuff in the first place to that guy, honestly. That was a bad move. You know, even if you think you can trust people like that, I'm gonna be honest, you can't. And it's nothing personal against people like Akeem Star or whatever. But their job, what makes them money, is drama. They're going to prioritize it over anything else. You know? Because at the end of the day, if you're an online figure, especially of the popularity of someone like Rushia, you're popular before you're a human. So if they've got news that they can use to make money off of it, they're gonna do it. And you can't fault them for it because that's their job. You know? You knew the nature of the beast going in. With that said, so basically she shouldn't have broken NDA. On the flip side, this whole situation would not have happened if idol culture wasn't the cancer that it was.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like, and this is something that kind of annoyed me, is like I saw some YouTubers basically spinning it like, oh, the Hololive girls don't really care that she's gone. They're not allowed to care that she's gone. Like, again, Perfect Blue is fiction, but there's a lot of reality in it from what Satoshi Kon said in interviews about it. Like, there's a lot of reality in it. If you have not seen that film, you need to go see it. It will really open your eyes. Yeah, they're basically under a gag order. They're told what they can and cannot say. And trust me, guys, like if you've never worked in the entertainment industry or for a big corporation, the simple fact that Callie said on a live stream with thousands of viewers, said, "I don't give a fuck. I'm going to talk about her if I miss her." That's huge, because that puts her at risk.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, my issue is I'm one of those people that tends to get pissed off at the situation more than anything. There's layers of truth in things that could have not been done. But at the end of the day, where my personal investment always is in any situation is how could this have been prevented so it doesn't happen again. And as Hatman can tell you, there have been points where I've had sleepless nights trying to figure out how can we prevent this from ever happening again? You know, because at the end of the day, that's the thing about mistakes is you're supposed to learn from them. And if you don't learn quick, then you're gonna continue making the same mistakes. So when it comes right down to it, I feel for the girl. I really do. You know, she probably just wanted to talk to people that she could trust about the situation. Maybe she didn't trust people in Hololive when it came right down to it. I don't know. I can't speak for her.
Could be.
But I will say this. I'm really hoping she lands on her feet. It sounds like she's going to. And more than likely what's going to happen is that YouTube channel is going to have probably 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. She's going to do a bunch of collabs with Kason to help get her numbers up. And she's going to have 1 million subscribers. She's going to get a ton of views on all of her live streams. She's going to be making serious bank. And then she's going to realize how much Hololive was stiffing her on her pay. Because I'm going to tell you this right now, guys. I could kind of understand if a Japanese person is making big bank on YouTube and they're still living with their family, because the family dynamic is different in Japan. But I know people that have millions of subscribers on YouTube. They're making serious bank. It's a lot of money. You guys saw like the nice suit that I bought from one successful video. Imagine if you had videos like that 10 times a month, like clockwork, plus videos that made about half of that. The money is really good, you know. And for Twitch, it's even better, which is part of the reason why we moved over here, you know. Because Lord knows, you know, if you're good at something, never do it for free. Oh, by the way, 420 Getty throws in another $10. Says, here's extra money for the cringe. Links are in the last donation. Thank you very much, dude. So best of luck to her. Again, this idol culture shit needs to fucking die. It really does. Because it's not bad for anybody. It's not good for anybody's mental health. Like, I don't... And by the way, to the people out there that were in the comments of my channel that were trying to say that this keeps people from committing suicide. So I called up a friend of mine who's a social scientist named Aiden Paladin. And we actually... She looked through some studies for me. I looked through statistics. There's no fucking evidence of that. I get that art and entertainers can keep people from having dark times, and that does happen. But the idea that it's keeping the entire nation from committing mass suicide is bullshit. Stop that.
Yeah.
You know? Y'all need Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
So, maybe this is just me. I was never curious about Ryu from Street Fighter's penis. Never was curious about that. Never really even thought about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Is the stream frozen, by the way?
No.
Well, I just refreshed and it's frozen to me.
It's still going. I've got no drop frames or anything. Might be a Twitch issue, but we'll keep going because the VOD will be up if nothing else.
Yeah.
Regardless, so Street Fighter 6 was revealed. And the reveal...
Street Fighter 6.
Yeah. The reveal was interesting. Because all it really was is they showed two rendered character models. You have Ryu, the lead character of the franchise, of course. And the, on the other hand, you have the new character of Luke, who was just introduced in the DLC for Street Fighter V. And it basically just shows them glaring at each other. The big thing that I noticed was just just the lack of hype. People are not excited about a new Street Fighter at all. So, I actually sat and I asked myself something. I said, when is the last time that there was a Street Fighter game that you would consider to be top tier, like one of the best fighting games that's out there? And I thought about it, and I said maybe Street Fighter 4, which was in 08. 08, 09.
Yeah,
that was the last time that Capcom released a Street Fighter game that was really high end. And then the last time that they released a fighting game in general that was really high end, that people really liked, was MVC3. MVC3 was, I think, 2010, 2011. Maybe 2012, something like that. So it's been a decade since Capcom has released a fighting game to universal acclaim. A decade. That's a long fucking time.
How long did it take them to get Street Fighter V up to just a level where people really wanted to play it?
Second season of characters. And even then,
like, that's too damn long.
Even then, when I bought it for the limited time that I had bought it, I refunded it within 2 hours. Because I bought it with all the DLC and everything when Sagat came out. Because Sagat is probably my favorite Street Fighter character ever. And it sucked. It was stiff. It was really, really, really stiff. Like, there was no freedom in it. It felt stiff like Street Fighter 2 feels stiff. And I'm like, this is bad. I'm like, this is not fun to play. There's no validity to this. There's no, it's not like the cancel windows were tight. It was like the cancel windows were like 2 frames on everything. If not 1 frame. Because that was one thing about Street Fighter 4 was 1 frame links. You would hear that term a lot. Meaning like the next moves, like the cancel into it was a 1 frame cancel, which is really hard to hit. So, it just...
So, let me...
Go ahead.
Okay, so let me just say, Street Fighter 4 sold better, like above and beyond better than Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
Even the initial version, like, we're not talking Super Street Fighter 4, we're not talking about Arcade Edition, Ultra, anything, sold about the same as Street Fighter 5 has across its entire run, and Street Fighter 5 has been out since 2016.
Yeah.
So about 5 years worth of sales. And it's only now reaching the initial version of Street Fighter 4. That's not a good reception.
No. It goes without saying
so that... I totally get it.
Yeah, it's not good.
I totally get the lack of hype. Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll redeem themselves. Maybe this will be, a proper Street Fighter game. Maybe this will be one of those that blows everyone away.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, like, they're going to have to...
Maybe it'll be more of the same.
There's a few lessons that they have to learn from 6 or from 5 and from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. The first thing is aesthetics matter. A fighting game has to look good. It has to have good visuals. I cannot think of a fighting game that had shitty graphics. Not shitty graphics in hindsight, shitty graphics in context. That was successful. I can't think of one. And then the second thing is that the gameplay needs to be looser than what it was before. Everything, it does not need to be like everything has to be grounded footsie based for esports. I'm gonna be honest with you. The fighting game, the people out there in the world that enjoy playing fighting games are not all Sonic Foxes, where everybody's playing super hard and serious and da-da-da-da-da, like a pro player. Like, do not build your game for esports. Do not do that. Build your game for everybody. And the competition will come. Which is what I really love about Guilty Gear Strive. Guilty Gear Strive is developed for anybody to pick up and play it and have fun with it. But the high level, the top level of players will find the tech, they'll understand the tech, and they'll play it at a high level, and they'll enjoy it as well because it has that freedom. And that's the thing. You have to develop things for a mass audience. You have to if you want to sell it. You know, that's the thing about being a AAA company. That's what you got to do. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to like top 5 fighting games that, like, if you ask me if I want to play a fighting game, you want to know what I'm going to pick from more recent games before I would pick a Street Fighter game? Guilty Gear Strive, obviously, because I've been playing that a lot. Tekken 7, Skullgirls. Those would be the top 3 easily, and then after that, you know, I would rather just play like a different Guilty Gear game, like Exerd Rev 2 or Samurai Showdown or King of Fighters 14. You know, like those games are all leagues better than Street Fighter 5 was, and Street Fighter 5 probably had double the budget of a lot of those games, except Tekken 7. You know. So, when it comes right down to it, I don't really understand why they haven't really sat down and said to themselves, you know, we need to have a system that allows for, as the current industry term is, emergent gameplay. Why they're not allowing for that? Because the thing is, the best Street Fighter game of all time is Third Strike. I don't care what anybody else says. It's Third Strike. If you don't know, you haven't played it. With Third Strike, there's freedom in what you can do. You know, you need to have you need to have the freedom to play how you want to play. If you don't have that freedom, then you're going to just not enjoy it because the character that you played before, they're not going to play the same. It was sort of like in Street Fighter V, like with Sagat, I had to be a zoner. I didn't have a choice. I didn't want to be a zoner. I wanted to play the mid screen, and I wanted to use that to do mix-ups and rush people down with him. They didn't allow for that. With Akuma, you know, you have to play in that you have to play hyper aggressive. I didn't want to play hyper aggressive. I wanted to again play the mid screen and then use that to, you know, play footsies with people and then rush them down. Like there was no freedom at all. And that's what they're going to need to do for Street Fighter 6 to be successful. Unless they allow for that kind of freedom, if the controls feel stiff again, like they have for the last 2 entries, this game will fail, despite the fact that it looks like they're putting some decent budget into it. So yeah. Hatman, what are your thoughts before we move on to the next one?
I think you summed it up pretty well.
I mean, I've never been huge on fighting games and whatnot, but I mean, hell, I vaguely remember that Street Fighter V didn't get a whole lot of hype when it was announced. Like, everyone was like, well, kind of feels like we're still doing Street Fighter 4 shit, but you know, whatever. And then 5 just kind of was that underwhelming. I kind of wonder if maybe this is an extension of that. Like, well, I mean, you really want to throw off Street Fighter 5 that quick? I don't know. I don't know what the hell Capcom is doing, but yeah, they need to fix this shit.
Absolutely. And thank you, boss, for gifting that gift sub to Chunky. All right, let's go ahead and move on then to our final topic of the day. So, David Jaffe is Jaffe's a unique individual. He's very polarizing. For those who don't know who David Jaffe is, he's the creator of Twisted Metal and also the creator of God of War. He's pretty, among developer circles, dude's pretty legendary if you don't hate him. You know. And, he's an interesting guy. I know people who have interviewed him. I've never had the pleasure. But he's always got interesting takes, and he's always thinking. Now, and the thing about always thinking is that sometimes you kind of don't really, you know, not every thought is good or precise or as well thought out as you would like it to be, you know. So sometimes Jaffe has some gaffies. We'll put it that way. So Hatman, tell us about this most recent one with Mr. Jaffe.
Okay, so it starts with a tweet like most internet drama does nowadays. It says, hypothetical. If you were playing and loving an open world game and there was an easy automatic platinum PlayStation trophy, there wouldn't be, but thought experiment, for going into a minority-filled Jew, Black, LGBT, Muslim, etc. nightclub and killing all the minority NPCs, would you do it? Set as a poll. Majority of people said no, they would not do it. That's 57% of people said they wouldn't do it. The rest of them said, yeah, they would.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment.
When people asked, when people asked, hey, isn't this kind of fucked up? He responded, quote, I would ask it because the older I get, the less I see NPCs as just game board pieces, and I go out of my ways to be kind to them. Also, it's a question for today's stream, and I want to see what the majority would do. So,
yeah, and it's an interesting question.
Basically, yeah, just straight thought experiment. Yeah, it's one that almost evokes the sort of feeling over the infamous Dick Wolves comic from Penny Arcade. Like, yeah, we don't care what happens to NPCs in general as long as we can get our achievements or as long as we can move forward in the fucking game. Like, right. Who gives a shit about any slaves we have to save beyond the bare minimum? So, like, yeah, fucking, I get it. Thought experiment.
Yeah. Also, let me mention something to Zion for saying like it sounds like bait. So here's the thing. People who are creators, and I say this as a writer, we think differently. We think very differently than most other people. That is an interesting question to ask, because from a storytelling perspective, it'd be really interesting to actually put the player in that scenario where they have to make that decision. Because good stories oftentimes can have tough moral choices for the player to make. Mass Effect is full of them. I mean, there's some decisions in Mass Effect 3 that, like, if you make them, you've effectively committed genocide. It's not bait at all. It's an actual question that developers have to ask themselves whenever they're creating these titles. Is, if I want to tell this story, how far am I willing to go, and how will the player respond to it? So, bit of an inside track for you. All right, continue, Hatman.
So, so anyway, along comes a couple of assholes.
Do they work for Kotaku?
No. One of them works for worked for the site that is trying to become the new Kotaku, The Gamer. Hilarious.
Oh god, they're even worse. They're like if Reset Era actually had articles.
Mm-hmm. You probably recognize his name, Kirk McKeon.
Oh, that fucking idiot.
Uh-huh. I'm just asking questions, man. Like, just basically trying to equate him to a fucking Joe Rogan type, which is hilarious.
No.
And David Jaffe doubles down. Says, honest question. When I was younger, I would have been over anything in that game. I still support the right for it to exist, but now that I'm older, I go out of my way to not even harm NPCs. That's what's being discussed here.
Mm-hmm.
Reasonable answer. Perfectly reasonable answer. But you could have made that point without making it about minority folk being killed in a nightclub.
But no, again, this is why a lot of the press are morons. It wasn't. Mm-hmm. It's not about quote unquote. It's the question. It's to add to the moral conundrum, especially in this current with the current zeitgeist being what it is. But then again, most game journalists are idiots. They don't understand that. They are not smart people. They're not, and this more than that, they have no artistic intuition. If anything, they are just the Politburo. Continue.
They want to say they write think pieces, but
you need to think to write a think piece.
If they're not willing. Yeah, they can't engage in a simple thought experiment like this without taking offense to it. I mean, case in point, the pile-on begins. I'm going to point at this tweet every time someone asks me if there aren't any more diverse people in games. There's unwelcoming, and then there's this.
What do you mean unwelcoming?
Yes, thought experiment.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I have no earthly idea.
So does this person think
someone would dare?
Let's think about some games that asked you to make tough moral choices. Does he think that no minorities worked on Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3? Does he think that no minorities worked on the KOTOR games? Does he think that no minorities worked on Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption games? The list goes on. Like, if you actually think that people are driven away by these sorts of decisions or thought experiments, you're a fucking retard.
Mm-hmm. It continues. Perhaps some people simply don't want to debate the morality, scare quotes, of murdering versions of themselves for digital accolades. That doesn't make someone full of themselves. What you said was absolute bait to incite the wrong people. Should we shoot minorities for the sake of it isn't a conversation that people need to have.
Oh my god. That was not what he said.
Fucking...
Now you're just poisoning the fucking well. Guy's a scumbag.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh no! It's not just him. Like, at this point now, it's multiple others that are jumping in on this.
Of course they are, because they're
in
not.
The water, sharks gonna swarm.
Yeah, and sharks have no brain cells.
Nope.
This is fucking. How long before
before
Jim Sterling does a video on this? Not understanding the topic at hand.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I give it, because Jim Jim is always late to the party. I'll give it a week.
Yeah, or whatever the fuck Jim Sterling is going by these days. I swear to
he's
God,
Jim.
Like,
he does not
totally gone off.
I don't care about dead naming or anything. He's Jim to me forever. That motherfucker tried to get me fired from Blistered Thumbs. He's Jim forever. I don't care what he calls himself.
Crystal Hydra here to remind us he's fat.
Yes.
Oh man, but no, like this is fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's a legitimate fucking question. Like, do we forget that Adam Sessler literally threw a tantrum over the name of a trophy in God of War, where it's right after you kill a woman. You are not allowed to say that a trophy name is bros before hoes after you kill a woman. That's too much.
Well, to be fair, Adam Sessler is on a lot of cocaine. So
that is true. Adam Sessler is a massive cokehead.
Yes. For those who do not know, ask our friends Scrump Monkey or Killer Tofu about their Adam Sessler coke story. It's fucking hilarious. I love those guys. Oh, so yeah.
But I mean, like these sorts of discussions, like they're not wrong to have. I mean, we can certainly dunk on them. We can laugh at them. We can say, hey, this was a stupid idea to get upset about, or
and Jeffy's had those, but he'll admit it.
Yeah, I mean, you could just as easily tell David Jaffe, like, no one ever is going to put an achievement like this in a game. Like, it's pointless to think about some shit like this. That's perfectly reasonable to say. That's more reasonable to say than, don't you think you're promoting violence against minorities by just tweeting this thought experiment out? Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, like...
Get the entire fuck out of it.
That's some Jack Thompson shit.
Seriously.
So, yeah. I think we have a button for these types of people.
Fucking...
So, to quote the phenomenal philosopher known as John Rambo...
We got 2 buttons.
Well, I'm gonna just use some Rambo on this one. Fuck him.
Fuck him.
Fuck him.
All right, it is time for Q&A. Let me reorganize.
It's gonna be a long Q&A.
The chat box here. So, and I think we owe cringe today. We do. I'm going to replay an alert just so I can see where it's at on my screen. Okay, there we go. I got to fix that too. Anyway. So, Q&A time. If you are a subscriber to the channel and you are not in our Discord server, all you have to do is go onto your Discord, connect Twitch to your Discord, and then my server will show up and you can just join. You put a greeting in the greeting area and you'll be able to post everywhere else. So let's go ahead and get to the Q&A. As always, of course, people who are in the Discord server will get priority. We will answer questions from the chat afterwards, just as a heads up. So, and by the way, this is no longer the lowest viewed Micah and the Hatman ever. Now we're at 36 viewers, so thank you guys for that. I don't mean to be a pain in the ass about those things. It's just sort of like, we like having you guys here with us. It's more fun with a bigger crowd, to be honest with you. So,
yes.
Okay, so let's, whoa, Dark Hatman. Hat, are you still there? Hatman. I think you might have lost power. Hold on a sec. So we'll put Hatman's avatar up there for now. And then when he comes back, I'll just pull it off. So I'll go ahead and get started on the Q&A. Oh, there he is. Did you lose power?
I lost power. It went completely fucking black in here.
Well, people can still hear you, so I've just got your avatar up. So you're good there.
Okay, well, there's that. I mean, I'm literally just trying to broadcast from my phone at the moment. Yeah, no, it totally lost power. I have no idea what the hell happened.
That is really
no
weird.
Storms or anything going on, so yeah, that's a little bit fucking frightening.
Maybe somebody ran into a power line or something. Okay.
Could very well be.
Let me go ahead and hit let's hit the Q&A. So
I could grab a torch actually.
Acorn Soup asks a really question that is going to have some hard truth behind it. So, Acorn, if you're watching, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to try to say my opinion as lovingly as possible, and any advice I give you, even if it is harsh words, I'm doing it to try to make you better. I just want you to understand that. It's sort of like Angry Green Boss came up with the kind of the tagline for Bully Night. We do not bully because you are weak. We bully to make you strong. And what I am about to say is going to make you stronger. So just get ready for this. You all right, Hatman?
I think it's way bigger than I thought. I just went outside and it's pitch black out here. It must be something with the grid.
Maybe so. All right.
It's it's totally fun. I mean, the airport across the street is totally dark too. That's really unusual.
Jeez. Okay, so Acorn Soup had asked us, as a Twitch streamer on the autism spectrum, how do I work towards affiliate status without alienating my viewers or pissing off other Twitch streamers? Should I ask for advice on social skills, play games that are less niche, or give up my ambition and be with content streaming 6 to 8 hours a week? So here is what... So that is a question that, of course, requires some tough truths. So I understand... Here's the thing about being a content creator. I know a lot... there's a good amount of content creators out there that are on the autism spectrum. There are people in the chat right now that are on the spectrum. And... they are some of the nicest people in the chat. One thing you have to keep in mind is that for a lot of it is that your social skills honestly suck. They do. You oftentimes say things that aren't blunt, are dickish. And it doesn't really come across as somebody with autism. It comes across as somebody who just didn't learn the social skills for whatever reason. And autism can make learning more difficult, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. In fact, a lot of times with a lot of people, and I say this as somebody who has worked with kids with autism, as a counselor, as a Sunday school teacher, so on and so forth, those things, you have to figure out how they learn. So, if you want to learn social skills, that's what you need to be doing. Because that's a big part of being a streamer, is you have to have some level of social skills. And you have to be really good with an audience. And both of those are things that you have to learn. And they take time. And right now, you're way behind on it, on the social skills part. So that honestly is what I would say you need to do more than anything, is just work on your social skills. Learn how to talk to people. Because... And the other thing is, you can't use your autism as an excuse either. And that's something that anybody who is in the chat that has autism, because there's people who are saying, I have Asperger's, I have this, I have that, is that they're like, yeah, we had to learn social skills too, and it was hard, but we did it anyway. And we didn't use... You can't have an excuse. Because if you tell people you're autistic when you make a faux pas and you apologize afterwards... they'll understand. They'll be like, oh, okay, well, this is why what you said was hurtful or whatever. As long as you're apologetic, then you can learn from your mistakes, and you're going to make a lot of them. But the big thing is, and this is something that this is a personal criticism of you, Acorn, you use your autism as a shield sometimes. In fact, you do it a lot. You can't do that. Because people think that you're using it as an excuse just to be an asshole because you get off on it. Now, I don't really think that's the case, but that's how it comes off. And you need to stop doing that, or you're not going to be able to improve as a streamer. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't try to make streaming a primary thing in your life anyway. I'll tell you this right now. I've been an affiliate on Twitch for a while. And granted, there was a good gap of time where I wasn't streaming over here, but you know, it's hard to get an audience. It really is to get an audience. It's really hard to get an audience over here. And when it comes right down to it, you know, you need to focus on IRL pursuits and have streaming be sort of a thing you do when you feel like it. As for niche games, those aren't necessarily a bad idea. I would sometimes it's good to mix in something that's a little bit more popular on occasion. One thing I would use is I would go on a website that's called Twitch Strike and basically put in the amount of people that you get that are watching your stream and then see where you would show up on like a top 10 of whatever the streamer is. But the big thing is consistency. So what I would do, if you don't have a day job, get a day job and have a full-time job. Then have maybe 2 or 3 nights where you stream. That's it. And just keep on that, because that's where I'm going to be at. Is I'm going to have my new job at the warehouse, and I'm going to be working there close to full-time hours. I don't really need full-time hours, because I've got, you know, comic book writing and stuff I got to do that's also a venture, so I need to have time for that. But the Twitch stuff is going to happen basically when I can fit it in. You know? So, that is my advice to you. Is it harsh advice? Yes. But, you know, it'll build your character. So.
Yeah, I think that's pretty suffice. I had a thought and I just lost it. I'm just kind of mildly freaking out a little bit here, but apparently there was an alert that went out that said the power company's aware of the outage. So
okay.
It's just really, really eerie. Coming outside, there's like no light. Street lights are gone. And again, there's an airport like right across the street from the building.
Yeah.
Normally that's all lit up because airports have to be totally dark. You wouldn't even think there's anything.
Yeah.
Like that's creepy. Like this is some horror game shit right here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Hardboiled backs me up on this, so thank you, Hardboiled. He says, speaking as an Aspie, your advice is solid and frankly the best advice that he could even give. So, because I'm not autistic, despite what some people think. I'm just
Jewish.
Yeah, that's
Jewish.
honestly kind of a better way to describe it. I'm very detail oriented, you know, and I'm
not an autist. I'm just a Jew.
Yeah, pretty much. It's in the genetics, Goyam. Yeah, you have to understand that for us not to get vishniked, we have to be very detail oriented. and now I have to hit the button. So this has been Advice Time with Rabbi Micah. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh no. Okay. Derek Mozzarella wants to know our thoughts on the Resident Evil Revelations games. Have you played any of them?
I played the demo of Revelations 1 for the 3DS.
Okay.
Didn't pick it up, hadn't played it or the sequel. I almost want to say I own the sequel on digital, but I don't know. I'm getting in the car now, so I need some heat.
Fair enough. So I have beaten and owned both of them. Also, thank you, Brain, for the 5 gift subs. Holy shit. The gimmick with both of them, like the first one was formatted like it was a TV show, like it had actual episodes. I didn't like that, but it played well. The second game was a lot better. It also came out episodic because episodic gaming was big at the time. But the second game is awesome. Like, I thought it was the best Resident Evil game since 4 when it came out. I like, for that gap of time, I think it really is. As unique co-op elements to it, like the second game is awesome. So yeah, I like them both for different reasons. Not to mention the first Revelations Jill Valentine in a wetsuit. Do I need to say anything more than that?
Yeah.
Okay. Brawler wants to know, of the games that are included in the upcoming Capcom Fighting Collection, which one is your favorite and why? Anything Darkstalkers. Darkstalkers with fucking rollback netcode is going to be awesome.
I don't think I've ever played a single Darkstalkers game.
Oh, you are missing out. Have you seen what's all in that collection, though?
No, what else is in it?
It's Darkstalkers Red Earth is finally getting a console release. Street Fighter 2 is on it, and I'm trying to remember. It's a lot of the 2D sprite work stuff.
Okay.
Let me look it up real quick.
Let me do that. I'm gonna see how far this outage is.
Fighting Collection.
Oh, and on top of that, it's foggy out too. Okay, this is definitely the start of a fucking horror game.
Yeah, you're about to enter Silent Hill. Okay, so here's all what's in it.
Y'all?
Here's all what's in it. So Red Earth, Cyberbots, all of the Darkstalkers games, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Super Gem Fighter, and Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo.
Oh, holy shit! Yes, I love Puzzle Fighter.
And all of those have rollback netcode. Every single one of them. So that's going to be fucking sweet.
I'm down for this shit.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, for me it's Darkstalkers. I guess for Hatman it's Puzzle Fighter.
Oh yeah, definitely Puzzle Fighter. I have not played Puzzle Fighter in so many years, too. My God.
Let's see here. Gunny wants to know thoughts on the next game studio that we think will be bought by Sony or Microsoft. I don't think we're going to see another one for a while. I think that buying Actiblizzard increased the size of Microsoft game studios almost double. In regards to staff, in regards to IPs owned, everything like that. It's massive. The only other purchase that Microsoft could have made that would have been as big is if they bought Electronic Arts. Which if they had done that, I actually think it might have even been bigger. But EA I think is worth more money than Actiblizzard is at this point.
Oh, EA is worth a shit ton more. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't expect that that we're going to see any other big purchases. I honestly think that Sony made a big mistake with not purchasing Konami, instead purchasing Bungie.
Yeah.
Holy
shit. Okay, this blackout has gone way fucking down. Like, the stoplight at the highway is out. This is crazy.
But here's the thing. This is a mistake that Bungie has made over and over again. It's like, we get bought out, we work for them, we make a few games, and then we don't want to be purchased by them anymore, so we get our freedom. Then we get purchased by somebody, then we make a couple of games. They're just doing it all over again. So I don't really think that
fuck this. Okay, that fucking what's happening there.
I think that ultimately we're not going to see another purchase for a while. I think that Konami would have been a better choice, because if they were able to revive Castlevania and Metal Gear and Silent Hill and kind of put Kojima on them in some way, shape, or form, like Konami had done before, because people don't realize Lords of Shadow was big. Lords of Shadow made really good money.
Oh yeah.
It was, it sold over 1 million copies. And then, of course, Metal Gear Solid is Metal Gear Solid, and people were super hyped for Silent Hills.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that, will spend $1,000 on a PlayStation console just because it still has a working copy of PT on it.
I've still got one on mine.
Yep.
I'll have to stream that at some point.
You should.
Because I've never actually played it. I downloaded it the day they announced it. Never fired it up. So, damn, this is.
So
this
yeah,
is
I think
fucking eerie.
I think that's the big thing that should have been done is to get Konami instead. But Bungie, like, it was a bad acquisition, and it's not going to do anything for them.
I've got no idea.
Okay. Servant says, if it wasn't brought up, thoughts on Amber Heard basically destroying her career via case filing related meltdowns? I'm just going to say I'm waiting to see on that one if that's actually the case. So.
That is a big blackout. Something blew the fuck up, and something blew the fuck out. There's a bunch of people, I guess, taking refuge at the fucking grocery store right now because it's totally fucking affected. So this is weird, man. I've never seen anything like this happen.
Yep.
You think we were getting bombed or some shit?
Nah. Okay. Let's move on then. Hardboiled wants to know, is it really that big of a deal for the upcoming Lord of the Rings prequel series to have people of color as elves, dwarves, etc., as long as they're original characters? Frankly concerned about...
it's really not that big of a deal.
I do think it's a little weird, just because of how each of those races is described. But at the end of the day, if they're an original character, like, I kind of feel like you're throwing it in an already established universe just to do it. But at the same time, I think it's just gonna be bad for other reasons, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, like we said before, it seems like their focus is on virtue signaling instead of telling the coherent story.
Yeah.
So, in all likelihood, that's where it's going to suffer, because they don't actually care about the property. They just care about what they can do with it.
Exactly.
Or really what they can do to it. But no, to answer the question, no, if it's an original character, honestly, it really does not matter. But yes, it is a little bit weird.
Let's see here. Ninja Stone wants to know, is there a moment in a story or character reveal that makes you not take the character or story seriously? Read
that question one more time.
Is there a character reveal or a moment in a story or a character reveal that makes you not take that character or story seriously? So I'm guessing it's like a revelation that when the character shows up,
yeah,
or this particular story element happens, you can't take it seriously anymore. For me, in Gundam Seed, when Kira Yamato survives the explosion with barely a scratch, I couldn't take the story seriously at that point. And then I'm trying to think of a character reveal that just ruined the story. That one I would have to
I think that's generally just like one that tends to do it. Like a character that was supposed to die doesn't die. Like I think of the fucking Glenn in The Walking Dead crawling under a fucking dumpster to survive when it made it like just about clear, oh no, he got devoured.
Yeah.
And like nobody took the rest of the show seriously for a while after that. Like even characters that they were clearly fucking dead, the meme going around was, oh no, he's just under the dumpster. A character reveal, though, yeah, that is a hard one. I mean, I guess the trope in that regard is whether or not they have some kind of like familial relation to someone else there. If it's played out kind of like an asshole, then yeah, naturally people are not going to be okay with it. They're going to be pulled out of the fucking show. But I can't, like, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything like that that's at least that stands out to the point where I'm like, yep, nope, I'm done.
I couldn't take Brian Michael Bendis' New Avengers series during the Collective arc. And that introduces a new character that basically only exists to find a way to repower Magneto.
Yeah.
Like, that story arc is just very poorly written. Very, very poorly written. Like, do you remember that arc in New Avengers?
Remind me.
It's the arc that Mike Deodato Jr. does all of the art on. And the gimmick is that that all of the energy that Wanda used to pull all the powers from all those mutants at the end of House of M had to go somewhere. And that energy strikes a guy who works at a post office in Canada named Michael, who was apparently a latent mutant or something like that. And at one point he goes to Genosha to find Magneto there. And then he does something to hit Magneto, and he gives Magneto his powers back. And when he does that, Magneto exclaims the word Zorn. Now, anybody who knows anything about the X-Men, if there is a name to run away from really fucking fast, it's Zorn. And nothing ever comes of it. Zorn is never mentioned again, but Magneto's got his powers back if nothing else. But the new character reveal was just stupid. It's just this guy who works in the post office in Canada. Nothing special about him.
That does sound stupid. No, I don't recall that at all.
That would be a good example for me.
Yeah, that sounds like.
Who is Zorn?
I can't think of anything, so we'll default to that.
Who is Zorn? Crystal Hydra asks. I would, when you get the chance, watch or read Grant Morrison's New X-Men. Like Zorn, Cassandra Cain. Like, there's some really good villains that are introduced in that story or in that arc. The problem is that Planet X is an arc that kind of falls apart. The retcon that they made later on actually made it a little bit more palatable. There's a point where they have Magneto essentially putting people in concentration camps. And it's just like, no, that's not something Magneto would do. So. Angry Green Boss wants to know 3 games that we like that everyone seems to hate. Let me think here.
Duke Nukem Forever is one of mine.
Yep. One of mine is the 2009 Bionic Commando.
Yep, that's something long-time viewers will know as well.
What else is there?
People don't hate Splatterhouse, else I'd say that's probably going to be one of yours, but I don't think they.
I would actually pick that because a lot of people hated it at the time.
Yeah,
and undeservedly so. I think
it was not a bad game at all.
No, 2010 Splatterhouse is a lot of fun. And you know, for all the hate Diablo 3 gets, I like it.
I don't remember any damn thing about Diablo 3 hate except for the real money auction house.
That's part of the reason people hate it. Like, there's a lot of people that hate it that just didn't ever played it because of that. It's a really fun game. So
yeah. This one's kind of a cheat for me, but Metroid Other M, I don't hate it. I don't really like it either, but I don't hate it. I understand why people hate it, but it's not enough for me. I think the gameplay is at least passable. Even if it does get boring in some sections, like it's not a complete ass to play. Like some people make it out to be. It's not that fucking terrible. But again, it's not good either. So I can't say I genuinely like the game. You know, if I see it on my shelf, I'm definitely going to pick something else before I pick that. But there you go. And one more, jeez. Shit. Don't honk at me. Fuck, it's hard because I hate more games that other people really like than the other way around. I guess I could say Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee also, because I know people really do not like that fucking game, and they said it's basically just an unnecessary rehash with the bullshit Pokemon Go mechanics in it. I thought it was great. I thought it was fine. Nothing wrong with it at all. I still go back and play it on occasion, as a matter of fact. But that one seems to get some hate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's as much hate as Sword and Shield, but Sword and Shield's hate is very different. Like there are genuine elements in that game that are worth maybe not derision, but definitely criticism. Like, I will argue with anyone who says that game has one of the best stories of all the Pokemon games. No, it don't. Far from it. So I guess that'll be mine.
Okay.
Dead Space 3. Dead Space 3. I don't know how I feel about. I have not. That's actually the only Dead Space game that I have not played through twice. So I'll have to play through it again, and maybe I'll give you my answer once I do that. But
and then Anime Guy wants to know: did you hear about the staff sergeant that commissioned an artist to draw Arthuria from Fate in Marine Dress Blues? Do you think the Corps has figured out the target audiences as a Marine? A lot of guys I know are weebs or consume a lot of media. I will say this right now. That is, like, they need to be, the Marine Corps, the Army, and the Navy need to be, and the Air Force need to be appealing to the stuff that young men these days are interested in. You know? Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. So, because a lot of old guard that I know that are that are still in service, like they tell me it's like, you know, we really need new blood, young guys that are fit, and it's very few people that are willing to do it. They, like, you can be a skinny nothing, as long as you can run a couple miles, you can be a Marine. They'll get you there. They will make you one, and that's the big thing. You know that some people have, like, the people that I know that are Marines have said, it's like, you know, as long as you're that little lump of clay, they will mold you into a Marine. So, okay. Now for the chat. Let's see here. We'll do chat for about 5 minutes, and we'll do our cringe and take off.
I don't know if I can do cringe. That's the thing. So
yeah, so I'll have to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Leonardo Juan wants to know thoughts on Polygon bitching that people that are buying the new Elden Ring more than they're buying the new Horizon game and calling them sexist. So here's the thing.
It's Polygon. What do you expect?
Yeah. First off, it's Polygon. What do you expect? Second, it's a Souls game. It's a true Souls game. People have been waiting for another Souls game since Dark Souls 3 ended. You know. And it has what people are looking for. you know, Horizon's audience is not as big as the Souls audience. It's just not. You know, and Horizon doesn't look like a bad game at all. It looks like it's fun, but I'm gonna be in Elden Ring for a while, and it has nothing to do with women. It has everything to do with the fact that I'm more of a fan of a Souls game than I am fucking, like than I'm really interested in the Horizon shit. Got nothing to do with gender. Has everything to do with how fun it is. So,
that in. I have not seen anything as far as, or heard anything as far as your opinion on Elden Ring, but everybody else that I know that has it says, like, it's one of the best games I've ever played.
Yeah, it's really good.
Can you confirm?
Oh, yeah, it's really good. It's also the hardest Souls game I've ever played.
Oh, shit, okay.
But it's really fucking good. So... Okay. What else we got?
Let's see.
Have we seen the Crystal Hydra wants to know if we saw the trailer for MTD Kamigawa?
Yes.
I have not.
That's
What
Magic.
is?
That's the Magic the Gathering expansion. So the latest one is like Cyberpunk Japan, basically, and it's actually really, really good. And there's a lot of anime inspired stuff. Oh, holy shit! There's actually a card that's no shit, a card with the name of "You Are Already Dead."
Really?
In this fucking set. Dead fucking serious. That's
funny.
So, like, yeah, there's a lot of fucking anime influence in this too. One of the new fucking legendary creatures is basically an Evangelion.
Nah.
Like it's awesome. And they did a trailer which was basically like an anime music video. Like I was actually really surprised that they pulled that off. And it didn't look cheesy, it didn't look janky or anything. Like it looked legit. So I was impressed. So yes, I have seen it. And I like it. Also, Yoji Shinkawa did the art for one of the cards in the set too. And it basically looks like alternate universe Raiden.
That's cool.
It's really fucking good.
Now, whether or not it's to win people back over to playing Magic again is a whole nother kettle of fish. But
I don't know. This is a really, really good set. Like, I have not been this enthusiastic about Magic in a while. This right here is something else. This is really cool. But I also really appreciate the fact that I can reference Fist of the North Star in a fucking game now.
There you go. Let's see here. Zion the Blank wants to know, why does the people hate Ash Crimson so much in King of Fighters? Wasn't into KOF back then, so I missed why. Because every King of Fighters, like, there's like kind of an arc of like who the main characters were. So like the main characters in the initial KOFs were Kyoku Tsunagi and Iori Yagami. And then after that, like, the main guy was K-Dash, which is kind of a weird name for a guy, but he was cool, so people liked him. And then they had fucking Ash Crimson, who was this massive femboy that looked stupid and basically was just Guile from Street Fighter. You know, he wasn't very fun. He wasn't nearly as fun to play. You know, he came across... He was overly effeminate. Like, it just wasn't something people really vibed with. So a lot of people just hated him. You know, it's like you think of like other like King of Fighters protagonists or fighting game protagonists from SNK. You've got Iori, you've got Kyo, you've got K-Dash, you've got Terry Bogard, you've got Ryo from Art of Fighting, and then you've got this motherfucker. You know, and he looks like somebody who shops at Hot Topic all the time. People just didn't like him. So I don't really see any other questions from the chat at the moment. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm still waking up, oddly enough. So, what are your thoughts on Nintendo deciding not to have Smash Brothers on Evo? One Path wants to know that. Was it Nintendo that said that? I thought it was Evo that made the decision. But if it is Nintendo that said it, then it doesn't surprise me. They have a tendency to just like pull fucking games from tournaments randomly, even. There have been times where people have actually had like a Smash tournament set up, and Nintendo has actually put their stamp of approval on it, and then they'll pull it at the last minute. So it doesn't really surprise me. Not to mention with the controversy surrounding Evo, and one of the guys who created it being a sex pest, and then on top of that, like some of the pedo allegations of the Smash community. Like it doesn't surprise me if they don't want to touch anything like that. They want to just go back to like, no, it's just a party game, fuck off. So I don't know what the decision making was. I can only assume, and my assumptions are probably wrong. But regardless, you know, like I can kind of see why they would make the decision. What do you think, Hatman?
I'm sorry, read the
what do you think about Nintendo pulling Smash games from Evo?
I mean, it's going to piss some people off, but I mean, yeah. What can you do? Like, what the fuck can you do? Yeah, it's like you said. There's definitely a big problem with like pedos in the fucking community too. So maybe that's the reason why, or maybe Nintendo's setting something up themselves. I don't fucking know. I know it was a big kerfuffle when they pulled Melee from Evo, but all Smash games. I mean, can't really do anything about it when they tell you they're gonna launch the copyright missiles when they see you streaming it. So
yeah, Nintendo just. I really don't like them as a company. I'm not gonna lie.
I think Nintendo is really backwards when it comes to just the power that streaming has. Like, it took them forever just to get an agreement with people to how to stream their games with approval from the company, and even then, like, it was still fucked up. So I don't know. They're really, really fucking backwards. Maybe it's a cultural issue. Maybe it's no. It can't be because
there's a lot of other Japanese companies who don't have this problem.
Yeah, Sega doesn't have their head up their ass when it comes to this. Capcom doesn't have their head up their ass when it comes to this. Maybe in some other regards, but like fucking, if they can figure it out, what the fuck is Nintendo's problem?
Yeah,
they're way bigger than Sega and Capcom. The fuck.
Again, I've said this since I worked at Blistered Thumbs. I will say this again. Nintendo does not like you as much as they say they like you. It's just a fact. Like this like for the I actually do legitimately feel sorry for the movie Bobs of the world that compare like that Nintendo to Pixar. Like, no.
Yeah.
No. Like, this is no. Just no. They do not like people that much. So, Nintendo is not good with this shit. They never have been.
No.
Alright. It's time for the cringe. So.
I get saved today because
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of fucking Silent Hill, apparently.
So.
And on top of that, my fucking flashlight is done for too, so. Wish me luck, boys!
Okay. BioShock Under the Sea parody. So, you get one clip for every $25. We hit $25, so we're there. So. This is going to be interesting. It's college humor, so I shouldn't get struck for it. Fingers crossed. 3, 2, 1, go.
Your plane crashed into the ocean. There's not much you can recall. So come stay with us in rapture. The great need not fear the small. I have built the world around you with the sweat of my own brow. Up there leeches ask for their share. Under here we let them drown. Under the sea. Under the
I'm being
sea.
serenaded by Andrew Ryan,
City's so
Hatman.
pretty, you should stay with me. Would you kindly?
Oh, Jesus.
Up on the shore, the parasites. I'd rather be a man than splice. Try our new plasmids, body enhancements under the sea. Just look at the little sisters. We turn children into beasts. You can harvest them for power, but watch out for Big Daddy. The atom is habit forming. The splicers, they like to tweak, but it gives you superpowers. So let's be genetic freaks under the sea.
I'm going to pause it for a second. I'm just... Fucking really? Does anybody have a golf club?
That bad, huh?
It is. I'm done. That is actually cringe. Like, what the fuck?
Oh,
In theory, it could have been funny, but it's not really. It even made a "Would you kindly" joke and didn't really do it. And sorry, guys, sound alerts aren't turned on during podcast. Brain, can you do me a favor? Refund Servant's points, or Hardboiled, whoever gets to it first. But Jesus Christ, man, really? So, just not that funny. Alright, that, folks, is going to bring an end to our show. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. I did not realize that they were happening because I couldn't see it on my end. So, I don't know what the fuck happened there. But, regardless, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And, yeah, it is it is interesting, and now Hatman must maneuver his way through Silent Hill. So, with all that said, we're gonna go ahead and take off. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin. Wish me luck.
Now, before we go, who should we be rating? Nobody's live.
Is Abigail live?
I don't know.
Oh, I think she's just starting. So.
Yeah, if Abigail's live, we'll go ahead and raid her. We'll send people over to Bible study. So, give me just a second. And we will begin that. We appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and yes, wish me luck through Silent Hill, please.
Yes. And we will see you guys next time.